Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is Jordan's Deputy Prime Minister and also its Foreign Minister, Nasser Judeh. Mr. Minister, thank you very much for being with us. We're obviously going to talk about the refugee situation. Europe is witnessing an unparalleled amount of migrants arriving to its shores. What's your judgment on the situation and the way Europe is tackling this challenge?
I can't presume to tell individual countries or the European Union how to deal with the refugee crisis, except to say that this is a global crisis, a global humanitarian disaster, the likes of which I don't think we have ever seen. My country, Jordan, has been receiving Syrian refugees for the last 4 years. And the last estimate is that we have 1.5 million Syrians on our national soil, which is about 21% of the population. No country, regardless of political or economic might, can cope with a humanitarian disaster of this magnitude. So we've been talking about this for years.
Without being heard?
Well, no, we have been heard, to be fair, and to be appreciative and to have gratitude. The international community has helped, not enough. We've been saying not enough, simply because Jordan is doing this on behalf of the international community. And the international community, in our opinion, has to step up to the plate because this is a global problem. Now, what you've seen in the last few weeks in Europe, I think, is the spillover of the spillover. And at the end of the day, we all have to act together as an international community to address this issue. Burden sharing is burden solving.
Yes, but as you say, countries like your country, Lebanon and Turkey, have had to deal with most of the burden. And Europe and the United States, the Western world in general, has said, oh, it's sad, but they didn't really care until now. They see those people arriving on their shores. Obviously, the image of this dead kid on the beach is clearly changing the equation.
Our consciences are all the time being tested, particularly when it comes to the humanitarian disaster. You're absolutely right. The image of the poor child, and of course the suffering of his parents and his extended family, are images we won't forget and feelings we will not be able to forget. But maybe that's a cry of conscience at the end of the day. Maybe that's a cry of conscience for everybody to be helping. This is not the time to finger point or to play the blame game. There is a crisis, there is a humanitarian disaster that needs to be addressed. So I don't think that it solves the problem by saying who did what, when, and why. There is a big difference between accepting refugees by European countries and others and between helping. And I think many European countries have helped. Like I said, not enough because of the magnitude of the problem, not enough for the countries that are contiguous to Syria, that have been at the receiving end of the brunt of this problem. Like I said, Jordan, my country, and the other neighboring countries. The debate on what Europe should accept and the numbers that they should accept is not my concern at this stage.
One concern that you might have is financial support. Yeah. Obviously, this is a problem for Jordan's economy, for maybe its social fabric and so on. I mean, are you willing to see the international community pledge more financial assistance to countries that are seeing lots of refugees on their soil?
I'm not just willing, I'm demanding that the financial burden, the economic burden that Jordan has had to bear be addressed by the international community. Because again, Jordan is doing this on behalf of the international community. The Syrian problem, the humanitarian spillover of the ethnic sectarian violence, of the political civil war in Syria is not Jordan's problem alone.
How much money do you need?
And there's a lot. I mean, this year, for example, we are at least 80% short of the required budget to cope with 1.5 million Syrians. Don't forget that in Jordan, only 9% of the Syrians, the 1.5 million, live in refugee camps. So you're talking about 91% living in Jordanian towns, villages, urban centers, and you're talking about a very heavy burden on the key sectors of energy, education, health, water, job opportunities, employment. So it's not just targeting refugee camps through international organizations. It is helping Jordan's infrastructure.
How much money do you need?
There is a response plan out there is being circulated to all the international organizations. I believe this year alone is going to be in the region of more than $2 billion for Jordan to cope with the current numbers of Syrians on our soil.
Even our international organization like the World Food Program have had to cut their assistance to Syrians. I mean, how much more can you take in terms of assistance? Is Jordan maybe facing really a critical challenge because of the financial burden the refugees are becoming?
Jordan is facing a serious challenge. Let's differentiate between that and political stability, which we enjoy.
But it could also be a challenge to its political stability.
No, it's a challenge to our economy. It's a challenge to our infrastructure. I think the political stability speaks for itself over many decades, not just now. This is something that we pride ourselves on. I've been on a tour of Europe. I was in Germany, in Romania, and today I'm in France. And I'm always gratified to hear Jordan being described as an oasis of stability in an otherwise turbulent and violent neighborhood. This is something we pride ourselves on. It doesn't mean that we don't have our economic challenges and that these economic challenges are augmented to degrees beyond, way beyond our expectations because of the presence of so many refugees in Jordan.
Could there be a point where you say enough is enough, we cannot take more Syrians in Jordan? This sounds like a yes.
No, it doesn't sound like a yes at all, actually. I was going to put the answer to you in the form of a question. Okay. And tell you that the most popular decision that the government can take right now is to close the borders. But we wouldn't do that because of our principles. Do you think that we'd be able to live with our consciences if we close the border and we see images like the image of the poor child on the beach, totally out of so the lifeless body? So
that's out of the question.
We avoided that. We avoided taking that decision because of our principles and because of our history in coping with wave after wave of refugees.
And this will continue.
Yeah, and this will continue, but the international community has to step up to the plate.
On the situation in Syria, is there a political solution in sight? We've seen the French president talk very recently about a potential role for Iran, for Russia. Do you think there is a political solution that's reachable, or do you think we're still in a total stalemate in Syria?
I don't think there's anything but a political solution that will bring Syria out of the mess that it's been living and that all of us have been living with for the last over 4 years now. We're well into the 5th year, right from the beginning. If you go back to Jordanian positions, His Majesty the King, the government, all of us saying this is not going to be a short episode. This is going to be a long, protracted civil war, which is going to take on a political phase and then immediately move into an ethnic and sectarian phase, and then it's going to provide the opportunity for the rise and spread and spillover of extremism and terrorism. The only solution is the political solution.
With Bashar, with Bashar?
It's not a question of with or without.
Yes, for many it's a question with or without.
For many it's the question of the parameters for the political solution. And the parameters are very clear. It is Geneva I, the communique of Geneva I, which says very clearly that there has to be negotiations between the Syrian government and the opposition in order to establish a transitional governing body. The international community is agreed on these parameters, and this should provide the baseline for the negotiation. Or for the political solution.
You equated Daesh as World War III at some point. I mean, for you, do you think this is really what it's all about?
We didn't equate Daesh with World War III. We equated the fight against Daesh with a third world war by other means. I mean, you have to complete the sentence. It's a third world war by other means. If you're talking about over 90 nationalities, foreign fighters, alongside Daesh, and over 60 countries fighting Daesh, this can't be anything but a third world war. This is a global issue. This is a global war.
And who's winning?
We will win. We have to win because we fight on...
It's not the same thing. We have to win and we are winning.
Well, yes, we have to win because...
Is that happening?
It's an ongoing fight.
Is what's being done enough?
More should be done, particularly on the third track. I mentioned the military track, the security track. The military is ongoing, and Daesh's capabilities are being degraded. So there's no way that anybody can answer your question and say, we've won. We haven't won yet, but we will win. The security belongs to the entire world community, because you saw the spread of the phenomenon of Daesh or the ideology of Daesh or other extremists in different parts of the world. But the third and long-term war, which will be won, but it's going to be a difficult one, is the ideological war. It's not just about mosques and places of worship. It's about an across-the-board strategy that targets positively the youth, provides them with opportunity, that addresses economic deprivation, political deprivation, social deprivation, because deprivation leads to despair, and despair leads to extremism, invariably.
On the military track, is Jordan ready eventually to send boots on the ground in Syria? Some say actually Jordan indirectly maybe is already present.
No, I mean this is not a discussion we're into. We've said very, very clearly that we're part of the coalition. On the contrary, we're a leading partner in this coalition to fight Daesh in Syria and in Iraq and everywhere, ideologically everywhere. But in terms of the military fight, it's ongoing. And I think
Jordan will not intervene.
At the end of the day, the boots on the ground will be the Syrian people themselves and the Iraqi people themselves.
No Jordanians.
No Jordanians, no.
Very last question, Palestine. Is it a forgotten issue?
Definitely not. It may not be a much spoken about issue these days, but our position in Jordan is that it is the central core issue. No matter what happens in our part of the world, the root cause of much of the instability is the absence of peace between Palestinians and Israelis. And the only way that the peace can be arrived at is with the foundation of a independent Palestinian state on Palestinian national soil, according to international parameters, and peace and security for all states and peoples.
But that's not happening.
That is not happening yet, but it has to happen.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very much.
Minister Judeh, for answering all our questions. Thank you for watching this edition of the interview here on France 24.